Okay, thank you, Joseph, for agreeing to be interviewed today for my YouTube channel and wherever else it may go on the internet. um, the first thing I'd like to ask you is when you access this information, this amazing information that you are accessing, would you say that you are doing this in a similar way to me, as in, how I would perceive channeling with extraterrestrial energy, guides? Do you perceive this as accessing cellular memory, something within yourself? Do you see that as all the same thing? Which I do, really. But how would you describe where your information is coming from and how you're getting it?
Well, I acquire information through pictures. Um, I've spent a lifetime. I've spent a lifetime trying to listen to my higher selves, my higher aspects. I've tried to become friends with my mentors, my angels. I've tried a number of different techniques. They ranged anywhere from meditation, relaxing the body. I have yet to hear voices. I have yet to hear in the third dimensional way something that sounds like words. What I do pick up is emotional pictures. And I'm finding that as we continue our progression and into our session, that they are becoming crisper and clearer. I have found that um, when you really sit down and you put yourself at ease and at peace, and you start to imagine and use your visionary skills in a reflective mode. And if you listen and you're willing to trust those pictures that you see and the feelings that you feel, it is in a way it expands what is to be or what should be or a direction. To give you an example, I'm currently working with a lady who is an empath. She has the ability to feel and sense others' energies. She also has the ability to heal. Well, we all know that empaths also absorb other individuals' energies to the point that it could physically drain them, make them sick. And this morning, prior to our interview, I went to discuss with this individual, and the picture and the image that I acquired in coming and reflecting on the direction of the interview was just put her in a state of peace. She does not need to heal. She does not need to do any kind of metaphysical work. What she needs is just to feel as if she's a part of the source and to recharge her batteries. Now, I had not discussed that with her. And when we had our meeting this morning, the first thing that she said was, I am physically drained. I'm emotionally drained. I don't know. And she was doubting herself and things of that nature. Uh, so in essence, those intuitive emotional pictures, I was shown a picture of putting her into a lattice of pink colors. So that's where I took her. Um, so I guess it's the biggest thing is coming down and trusting what you are seeing and ensuring that it is proper.
Yeah, I completely agree. And when things first started for me, I saw I think that's a really good way of explaining what you're seeing, the emotional pictures. They're pictures, and you can feel the emotions through the emotional body as you see them. And what happened with me is um, quite simultaneously, um, to seeing those emotional pictures, I was viewing this being and interpreting the energy so quickly that I could interpret it as words. But I think it all comes together, and there's no right or wrong way to begin one's psychic ability, one's spiritual ability. It's kind of it comes out in us in different ways. And as the nine have always said to me, we each have a piece of the picture. So it's so lovely to interview you and get your information and your story out there. So I'd just like to ask, how long have you been able to access these emotional pictures? Has this been a recent thing, or has it been there for many years?
I truly believe it's been there for many years. Um, I truly believe that I've always had the capabilities. It has to do with the density of the physical body, and it has to do with your frame of mind and your emotional outlook. um, it has to do with the element of time and gravity and density and all these different specific areas um, that I think play a very much of a part. You know, Magenta, when we're born on this planet, we are like in a large cave that's real dark, and the only thing that we really have is a small candle, a small little light, and in that light, it allows us to, those are our skills and our abilities. But we're deaf, dumb, and blind when we come in, like being in that cave. And every day we do something, every day we participate in some kind of activity, whether it's metaphysical or physical, we learn. And that little light starts to get brighter and brighter. And as it gets brighter, we see outlines to those caves and pathways. And as we continue to journey in our life, the light gets brighter. We can see many different things. And as we see things behind the original objects. So it's been a progression. I would like to feel that I've had great conversations with my angels and guides and mentors. I don't think it's been extraordinary. I have met many people like yourself that have developed your gifts and your talents um, greatly. I've met many other individuals who have developed those talents and gifts. And one of the things that has inspired me to learn more is persons like yourself and persons like other individuals who have taken those gifts and grown. Uh, I many times feel I'm still a child with a whole bunch of toys to play with. Uh, and when you start playing with all those different toys, etc., you find that behind those toys are more toys. And so it's been a continual shift. But I think what has helped is our ascension process that has been occurring the last couple of years.
No, I agree with you. I think one of the things that's helped me so much is this connection with others. And the more you connect with other people that are similar to you, that may be quite different to you, but have something else to bring in, you learn so much. And I feel that connection with other human individuals is so very much part of this journey. I know that it can be done without that. We can be a hermit, if you like, and be isolated and still go forward. But at this time, the energy for me and for many, many people is connection with others, and it's so exciting and important and so helpful. So I agree. And you described that whole birth experience and the way that we're sort of shut off and the way that we find our awakening. You described that with a lovely metaphor. So one last question before I then turn to the information you're getting is what's happening to you and what's happening to me and the way that we're able to sort of link into this knowledge bank, if you like, and access this truth. Can anyone do this? And if the answer you feel is yes, and there are those that aren't doing it, that feel that they're stuck, is there a way that you would suggest to them to so that they can also access these emotional pictures or the communication with the beings, access that knowledge bank? Can everyone do this? And if so, and if they're not doing it, what could help them to do it?
An excellent question. Um, one of to answer that, I've just got to go back to my second grade. Um, in my second grade, something happened in school, and I can remember walking home. Um, back then, I'm in my 60s. So back then, of course, we all walked to school 40 miles in the snow uphill, that old joke. But as I was walking home, I was thinking to myself, and something happened. What is my purpose? So I think it really starts with asking yourself, what is your purpose here? I've met many individuals that are comfortable with their surroundings and they're comfortable with who they are and they're comfortable with their job and uh, the money they make or the service that they provide, and that it is not necessarily important whether they know what's on the other side or what their purpose is. So I think it really starts with you have to be willing to feel there is a need to understand more. Oftentimes, we meet with individuals that are comfortable, that don't need to see the other side, that don't need to really do anything more than to exist. And to those individuals, I think they're living into their set of purpose. For those that are seeking, for those that are wanting to better understand where they fit in with the world, I think the very first thing comes with being really open to trust, not trust of other individuals necessarily, but trust of themselves and what they get. Um, I spent a lifetime of learning how to deal with personal emotional drama. um, I've spent a lifetime of trying to deal with fear and guilt and all of those different emotional avenues. And it really wasn't until I started watching some of your videos, David Wilcock videos, and Dolores Cannon's books, that it sort of cemented and put things down together. Um, and what it was basically, the information that I sort of came around with is that each person has their own path. Each person has um, come to here, this dimension, to learn things, to do things, to understand things, and not everyone needs to uh, see the other side. I myself, since the second grade, have wanted to see the other side and wanted to find out what my purposes were, and that's been a lifelong kind of thing. And so, consequently, I have put a lot of attention into it. For those that are curious, the very first thing they need to do is to study why they exist. What is their purpose? What are they hoping to attain in this world? Because I truly believe we are masters of our own destiny, and that it's very important that we understand we, whatever we look at, wherever we're at, whatever job we have, whatever kind of physical body we have, we created that. And I've just had the need to find out why did I create that, and different things of that nature. So uh, I think the first element to answer your question is you got to trust what you got to trust yourself, and number two, you have to be open to you're the one responsible for your life.
Mm. Lovely, I couldn't agree more. And so many people are very psychic, very linked in, and they are dismissing that because they're not trusting themselves. So they're feeling, well, nothing's happening, but really it is, because it actually comes in quite a subtle way. It's not always big crashes of light and that sort of thing. It's subtle, and those miracles are so profound when they are seen in that subtle way. So I agree, trust yourself and be open. And that brings me to a question I was going to ask you. Before I get to that, I wanted to say that what the nine, one of the things the nine are doing here through me with this, specifically with the videos and the YouTube channel, is triggering others. It's not as if they're here to deliver information to individuals who don't know anything and this is information that they know and here it is. It's not like that, which is very much an educational system that we have here on this planet at the moment. It's more from the nine that other people already have all the tools that they need to do all these things. And it's not just about knowledge, it's about moving into a transformation, into a better, higher self, into this new being, if you like. And that's where we're all going with all these amazing, wonderful abilities that we have, actually finding our true purpose collectively as well as individually. And what the nine do here is trigger those people. So through the video, there's a trigger, and that person then goes away, and that trigger then plants a seed, and that grows. And I feel with you, Joseph, the information that you are getting, a lot of it is triggers to others, because you're getting a lot of information about you're much more scientific, I feel, than I am. My information comes through quite flowery, even though there's a lot of science there. But with you, there's a lot of physics and science, and it's quite specific. So when did all that start coming in? And can you talk about the information that you are getting? I know you're getting things about the ascension process itself and what's going to occur, what's set to occur, what could occur after this ascension process, or after this culmination point, 21st of December 2012, and these dimensional aspects, what's happening with the oversoul. You're getting all sorts of information like that, aren't you, about dimensions, about time and space. Can you talk about that and what you've been picking up over the years?
I would be glad to. I've always questioned the element of time. Um, in a way, I thank you for your compliment about being scientific. Um, uh, well, that's a very humbling comment, etc., because oftentimes, as we are delving into various different aspects and trying to understand better our multi-dimensional selves and our purposes and things of that nature, it's very difficult to uh, not prove what you're thinking. But again, it comes back to that emotional trust that what you're getting. Um, we can only uh, have validity when other people are also finding that. So thank you. Uh, it really comes down to my trying to understand what time is all about. Um, I different authors, different TV shows, um, different kind of scientific or science fiction has fascinated me, especially around time. I have come to the conclusion that time being linear in this particular dimension, once you go past the physics of that time and start understanding that it is more than just linear time, that allows you to be open to various different possibilities. Like, for instance, uh, in one of my thinking, my thought processes, I believe that from the 1930s to 2012, we've been doing time loops. And so certain aspects of ourselves continue to repeat um, from the 1930s to 2012, um, our lives. Now, the question is, am I my Joseph in another iteration? I don't know. Um, Once you also get past the element of time, the linear aspect, Seth, Jane Roberts wrote about the Seth material, and he talked about dimensional time. He talked about the fact that uh, we we go from one sequence to the next sequence to the next sequence. On their side, those sequences all exist at the same moment. And that if we are gifted or talented enough or in a higher dimension, we can actually see our future selves. And that just opened up a whole wealth of questions that I had. And uh, I one of our greatest powers, one of our greatest tools that we have is our ability to think and our ability to use our imagination and our visionary skills and see those concepts and reflect on those concepts. Um, and you are absolutely right. Each person, including the nine and including what you do, are triggers. And every time you see a science fiction that talks about time, it just opens up more things that we are able to think and to reflect on and to create. So um, that's thinking about time really opened up many avenues, and the willingness to trust the fact that I'm allowed to think these things. You know, in some parts of our world and our society, uh, you would be banned from their culture because you're thinking inappropriately. Um, I don't know if that makes any sense, etc. But one of our greatest aspects is being able to sit down, reflect, meditate, be open, and think about those things that are nearly impossible to have any conclusions on this dimension. Does that make sense?
It does make sense, and I completely agree, especially about the science fiction, certain science fiction stories and books and writing and films. Many of them are triggers because they contain so much truth as to our actual reality and contain so much truth about things that we haven't been told on this level. One of the most wonderful science fiction programs that I watched as a child, which triggered me as a child, was the original series of Star Trek, you know, with Kirk and Spock, and it's being reshown over here in the UK at the moment. So, I mean, I must have watched the series throughout my life between 6 and 10 times, if not more. But whenever it's rerun again, I'll think, okay, it's been a year or two since I last saw it, and so I try and forget it a little bit so I can watch it all over again as if it's new. So I'm currently watching the reruns of Star Trek, and this time I think I last watched the series going back probably 15 years when I was newly awakened, I guess, spiritually. So this time, after so much more information has come forward from the nine, and I've been working in this field in this way, to actually watch Star Trek again this time, even more is coming forward, and every single episode is just amazingly true in such clear metaphor. Do you agree with that about Star Trek?
Oh, very much so. Like you, I watched every episode, and it just filled my imagination. It filled my thinking with possibilities. And as you read the various different authors, that compounds the visual understanding of possibilities and probabilities. And that sort of turned my interest into multidimensional aspects. Is it possible? So yes, I very much agree about Star Trek and very much agree about some of the other shows that um, really give you a sense of there is more to what you think there is.
Mm. And every episode, you know, everything that we're talking about in this movement, whether we're coming from a science perspective or from the UFO perspective or from the spiritual perspective, it's all there in Star Trek. Everything, right down to the law of attraction. You know, everything is in that program. So, you know, anyone who's listening who hasn't seen it, and I'd be surprised if there are any who haven't, maybe some of the younger viewers of my YouTube channel, maybe they haven't, you know, go watch the original series of Star Trek if you haven't seen it, because it's just wonderful, and it is a trigger. It is definitely a trigger to that connection, because wherever you place your energy, that's where you go. You can go wherever you want with your energy, wherever you place it, whatever you focus on. If it's something you want to learn, you place your energy there, and that's where you'll go. And Star Trek, all these topics within all these different programs, all these different episodes, every single one has a trigger for something that you might want to learn and become part of. But I wanted to talk about your videos, because I know you've uploaded some YouTube videos, haven't you? And they are quite scientific, very much about dimensional geometry, I guess. I think you're kind of producing a map, if you like, of how to sort of get there biologically, if for want of a better word. You seem to have a map, I feel. um, are you still making YouTube videos? And if so, can you um, can you let me have your YouTube channel so people can go and look at your videos?
I will be glad to give the YouTube channels. You're the one that sort of inspired me to put things down, um, as to what I foresee is happening. And what you're talking about is light ships and Merkabah. But what it is first of all, when I make the videos, um, are they as professional and are they as great as yours, as some of the things that are coming out from Hollywood and things of that nature? No. What I try to do is I try to incorporate simple pictures, and I try to incorporate thoughts. And then I allow my higher aspects to sort of help direct that. Something I still have is an ego that sometimes interferes, and that ego, not a negative ego, but the ego sort of keeps me protected here on the third dimension. So I've enjoyed doing them. I'm still working on them. It depends upon my third dimensional job and the aspects that I'm doing and working with people. So whenever I get a chance, and one of the videos that you were looking at was the Merkabah, the ability for 15, 20 years I've sensed, in addition to the seven main chakras, I have sensed other, what I call points of light within our different parts of the body. And I think two can be easily recognized. And we've played around with this with several individuals. If you outstretched your palm of your hands and you imagine a greenish, bluish ball of energy sitting on each of those palms, some people can feel a little bit of tingling. And then when you move your hands closer together, if you sort of turn your hands to where the palms are facing each other and moving it closer, some people can feel um, that the energy is like two big balloons that are compacting. You can feel the energy. I don't know if I'm explaining that well enough, uh, but in essence, in each one of the palms of our hands, I truly believe we have points of light or energy or uh, things that we can do with those energy. And surrounding our entire body, we have many different points of light. And what you asked about was mapping them out so that we could create a Merkabah, a light ship. And by putting certain energy on various different parts of those points of light, mapping them out as you're calling them, you're able to, with your vision and your imagination and your ability to astral project, you're able to develop a light body where you can do travel. Not recently, about 10 years ago, I remember playing around with this, and I was sort of in a mid awakening, and I heard this voice go, "Hello, Joseph." Now I don't know if that was my imagination or not, but um, that that was surprising to me.
Yeah, so you got some words, and I do too. When I go out of the body, that's when I hear very clear conversation, a very clear sound coming from not just guides, but individuals who are either here on Earth incarnated or have passed over and all sorts. So I agree with you. And these points in the palm of the hand, I've been aware of those for a while. They're kind of like chakra points. They're like little vortexes. I also feel we have them um, on the fingertips and under the nails. And I first noticed those when I actually had nail extensions put on my nails about 2 or 3 years ago, and it didn't feel right. I felt like the shutters had been drawn down on a window. And these little chakra points, they could still see, but there was something covering them. It didn't feel right to have nail extensions on my nails. I'm not trying to persuade all the women out there listening to go and have their nail extensions taken off, because I know that they do look really pretty, but that's how I felt. So I did have them taken off and didn't use them anymore, because I find I use those chakra points on my hands, in the palm, and on the nails when I'm communicating with the nine. It's like a way of moving energy flow through my hands to connect with them. Now, also, this is what's done with healing. Anyone who's a natural healer, the energy is coming through these points, and it's sort of maps out the whole body. What's on the hand, and that can also be studied in hand reflexology. What's on the hand maps out the body. So this mapping, I feel that you are picking up, you're getting information about this in a very geometric sense, because you talk a lot about the triangle, the square. If I'm right, you talk a lot about shapes and how. Yeah, can you talk more about what you've been getting about the geometry of this?
Well, um, pure mathematical symbols would be very difficult to describe. What I do know is this: that we have an astral body that is a part of our body system. We have a physical body, and then the spiritual body is the astral, what I call the astral body. Maybe I'm using bad terms or whatever, so please forgive me. But in that astral body, that is the communications between the third and the higher dimensions. And those points that we feel and the flow of energy and the vortexes that we have, whether they're circular or square or long tubes, connect the mental capacities, the intellectual capacities, the thought processes of the higher realms through and to the physical body. And it's just like with the healing, those that are gifted and have developed uh, the healing processes. Where is that energy coming from? It is coming from higher realms that are floating through the astral body into the physical body. And so those points connect and keep us focused here on the this dimension, and it keeps us focused in the higher planes. I'm quite sure there are many authors there who will be able to expand my simple explanation, but I find that each of those points are dependent upon a certain kind of geometrical structure. Uh, I look at my palms and I can feel as if there are big balls like uh, water balloons sitting on my palms of my hands. Um, that I feel is really I'm feeling parts of the astral body. In the pineal gland or the the chakra that's in the third eye, I see that more of a round tube, a swirling round tube. And so the different symbols that we have are intermixed with color. It's intermixed with energy, vortexes. I love your word. And it depends upon our emotional state and our physical state how well we swirl them.
So, do you feel that right now in this year, 2012, right now we're in July 2012, do you feel that on a grand scale, a global scale, there is a waking up of all this going on in everyone. Each one of us are becoming so much more than the physical body. We are all in our own way awakening or being led into discovering the multidimensional aspect of us and the astral body and becoming so much more than we've ever been on this planet in a collective sense. Do you feel that that is what is ultimately going on right now?
Very, very much so. Uh, and it has to do with the wealth of information and the knowledge that is through the internet. Let's first of all start with TV and some of the programs that they have had. They are talking about subjects that 40, 50 years ago would be taboo. Uh, and they range anywhere from doomsday. I think for 3 minutes I watched a program that showed 10 different ways we were going to destroy our world. Um, and we have other things about the religious artifacts and aliens, and we have TV programs that have opened up possibilities of individuals being abducted. And what that has done is that has allowed individuals who have had unique experiences and situations to not be as afraid, to be open. 40, 50 years ago, if you had mentioned hearing a voice upon awakening, boy, they'd cart you off to some loony bin, and hopefully by 50 years from now, they'd let you out. Now it's accepted, or it's at least they don't the, most people don't get too upset. Some people do look at you if you get too far afield. If you try to push your metaphysical understanding on other individuals, people are fearful. People like stability, and people like to feel that they have a grasp of reality. And our job is not to convince everyone that our thoughts are right. Our job is to live our life as best as possible that we think is important.
Mm. Oh, I couldn't agree more, especially about this information years ago and in recent years being would have been taboo and you would have exactly been looked at as if you were crazy. I think a lot of us who woke up to this 15, 20 years ago went through that somewhat then. Now it is much more accepted. Myself today, I saw my doctor, my GP. I don't spend too much time with the doctors really, but I have actually recently switched over to a new doctor at my surgery, and she's really lovely, and I really relate to her. And I've been seeing her because I've just recovered from a chest infection thing, which you know about. And I also discussed with her today, I saw her earlier today, about rapid heartbeat that I've been experiencing every so often at night. So tachycardia while sleeping, a little bit of sleep apnea as well, which is stopping breathing. I intuitively felt that it wasn't anything to worry about. I even got while I was asleep from the nine or the guidance around me that this is happening to many individuals, and it is very much part of the ascension process as we are awakening on all these levels. What I didn't expect when I saw my doctor was her reaction. And when I spoke to her, she said, personally, I think what's happening to you is you are going into a very, very deep sleep. And when that happens, the subconscious mind can create all sorts of experiences for us, and we can see things. And I just looked at her and I said, "Are you talking about out of body experience and astral travel?" She goes, "Well, yes, exactly." She said, "I thought this is what you were doing." She said, "My gut feeling was telling me you were having astral projection." And I thought, I can't believe I'm discussing this with my general practitioner, my doctor. And I said, "Yeah, I've had out OBEs for years." And she said, "I think it's just part of it. I think really it's nothing to worry about. Keep an eye on it. But at this stage, I think it's because you are going into such a deep sleep and you're sensitive and you are remembering what's happened while you've been asleep." And I kind of felt that she was right. Obviously, I'm going to keep an eye on that. The nine do say that we are going through some really profound changes physically, and the heart thing, rapid heartbeat. I'm feeling intuitively, I'm feeling that this is happening to a lot of people. And if anyone's listening to this interview and you are getting this, please write it down on the comment area, because it's interesting. Do you feel that that's part of this as well? Is it affecting our physical body within the astral state, so that we can actually have rapid heartbeat, and possibly deeper breathing, different breathing, that sort of thing?
Very much so. I think also our physical bodies are adapting. I think Dolores Cannon talks about as we increase our um, dimensional aspects and vibration rates, uh, physical bodies also have to adapt, and that sometimes aches and pains are really going to a higher level. It's also interesting. We have a hospital down the road that one of their treatment uh, is Reiki, healing with the hands. Also, in a Catholic church that recently I attended, they had a priest who had the gift of healing with his hands, and he didn't purport it in any metaphysical way, but he went around touching the throats and touching the individuals. And for a very traditional church to get involved with that in a traditional hospital, to to have a holistic approach, I think that's indicative of the changes that we are seeing, and that the openness of individuals.
Yeah, I agree. And I think if you're open to this, you will see it everywhere. You will draw this out in people. Whether it's your doctor or someone serving you at the shop or the teacher at school, you will bring this out, and people will come into your lives who you might have seen before as someone working for the system. You will actually begin to see that actually they're ascending as well. They're awakening as well. So the system has to change when that happens. So there's wonderful positive changes going on. But coming back to your geometric information, your scientific information, I know that there are a lot of byproducts that we can acquire as we move forward along an ascension path, a spiritual path, such as astral projection, bilocation, telepathy, um, you know, manifestation, all these things. Um, would you say that concentrating on one of those things would actually lead you to that? Or would you say that the overall goal here is to move forward in service collectively in a spiritual sense? Once you do that in a state of surrender and peace and love, would these byproducts come to us? I know there's a lot of people out there who they want to get out of the body. They want to go on the ships. They want to meet the ETs. They want to fly on the UFOs. They want to bilocate, transport their body to other countries. They want to go invisible. That's all very, very sort of important to a lot of people. And it is happening. And I'm speaking to people regularly who are actually experiencing these things more and more. Um, and wouldn't it be lovely when we all do have these abilities? But personally, I feel that they're a responsibility as well, and that they can be used or abused. There's a negative aspect to all these things and also a positive. So, would you say the way forward to all these things is to know that they're available, know that the human body can do them and have them, because we're just wonderful, superb, amazing beings, but to place our spirituality, the progression of Earth, the progression of humanity, the freedom of humanity in peace and love, to place that first, and then allow these byproducts to just come to us. Would you say that that's the
I would very much agree to that. You know, I've come down to six things that I think I'm going to judge myself when I pass on to the next, when I go to the next side. Uh, and the first is, how much have I lived in peace? You know, it's very easy to be peaceful when everything is running smoothly and everything is being, um, catered to, and you don't have any worries. That's nice to be at peace. What I'm talking about is being at peace during times of adversity. It's very difficult to be at peace if someone's crabbing at you or if things aren't going right. And I think throughout my life, that is one thing that I wish to feel that I've made good steps towards. Another one is learning to appreciate. Um, I very much appreciate your time, uh, Magenta, in interviewing me, and I very much appreciate uh, the the systems that we have and the job. And oftentimes we get so filled up and wrapped up in things that we're doing and things that aren't going right that we don't take time to really appreciate the little things. Uh, uh, it, this morning, a lady who was it looked like in a serious grumpy mood, a kind hello, uh, sort of helped her out of that, and that was uh, just a small hello can be very heartwarming, and we need to appreciate not the big things but the little things. Living in balance. We are third dimensional people. We are not. I am not a saint. I am not the devil either. I am one human being that's living in a vortex of energy. People surrounding me have different levels of energy, and you have to be balanced. You have to uh, understand the physical laws here. You're allowed to explore the laws of the higher dimensions, but part of your stay is here, and so you have to do whatever you need to do. Another one is giving service. Magenta, when I was back in the 1980s, I started a business, and like all businesses, money was tight, and it was late spring, and it was either going to get shoes for the kids, food, or pay the gas bill. And since it was late spring, didn't need to heat, I let that bill go. And I knew I was going to be able to pay that by the fall. Well, spring came to summer, and then to fall, it started getting cold. I did not have the money to pay for that bill. Well, lo and behold, I received a letter from someone, and someone had paid that bill. To this day, I have never found out who that is. That individual paid that bill, and to this day, my children, my spouse, and I occasionally will remember that, and we will try to live up to what someone else has done. And it's those little service things that just warm your heart. The fifth thing is try to accomplish things. Have you ever seen any of Mark Tong Tong videos?
No, I haven't. No.
He is another metaphysical. He talked about manifestation. He has a 1 minute video on manifesting things, and I found it really interesting. It's just four things. First, you got to envision. Second, you got to speak it. You got to take it out of that mental capacity. You got to tell yourself, tell your oversoul, tell the universe you want something. The third thing is you got to write it. You got to ground it. Fourth, and the most important thing is you got to do something to bring it in.
Yes, absolutely. And the nine say the same thing. You need to do the action. It's no good the visualizing, the consciousness, the belief, the emotion. You need to do the action. So Mark Tong has a video on manifesting, and he's saying about writing it down and doing something physical, actually doing action, taking action. Yeah, and that's so important. And I think that is missed out sometimes in some teachings when it comes to law of attraction or manifesting. Maybe not all, but some it is missed out. I know that you can just perhaps go to a teaching on the law of attraction and it will just be visualization or something, or making a vision board, or all those things are fantastic. You do your altar, but to do something physical as well, that's the key into it, because when you do the consciousness and you do the visualization and you do the vision boards and all those things, even though the vision board is a physical thing, what you're doing is you're bringing the energy in, you're bringing the guides in, if you want to visualize them as angels waiting to do your bidding, waiting to provide you with your cosmic order. And then if you're not doing something physical, they just stay waiting. When you do something physical, it's like, right, now we can go in. So if you want to call them in, if you want to call in the cosmic forces, you must do something physical, and that will get it going. And it works, and it does work. So really, what you were saying just then is, when I'm asking you about a map into this higher multidimensional living, I guess, and this whole transformation we're going into globally. Um, you don't have to do the geometric thinking. You don't have to learn the science. You don't have to understand about time. It's all very simple. It's the simple things, such as living in peace in times of adversity, like you said, and appreciating the things you have, living in balance. So that's the map. Then that's the map. Really, you can map it out geometrically with shapes, with meditation tools, and with profound astral travel, but really it's bringing it into the physical and living in peace and harmony. It's quite a simple map, really. It doesn't have to be complicated. So that's a really important thing, because a lot of people don't have that kind of mind where they want to know about geometry and science and time travel. Some do, some are very much called to that, and there are, if that's where they're called, then that's wonderful. So you were saying about there were 6 ways, and you got to the fourth one. You were saying about being in service.
Actually, that was five: being at peace, appreciate, being in balance, service to others, manifesting, but through accomplishments. The sixth one is, I think, extremely important for all of us to get away from fear and guilt, and that's being spiritual. We had a we had a very simple individual. He was a Catholic priest. And when I say simple, I'm not talking about he was not complex. If you had a problem, he was there listening. He didn't make. He was very traditional. You're either going to go to heaven or hell. Uh, Things were simple in his mind. Be with God or don't be with God. That kind of thing. But the thing that really shone to others was that he truly believed and he followed his life according to his beliefs. And one of those beliefs was, when someone needs something and you're able to provide it, and we're talking about physical things, do so. It was like 20 degrees one winter day, and first of all, he would never make food for himself. He always relied upon God to provide him with food, and he never went hungry. Uh, um, he never bought things. And one time he was out and it was really cold, and so someone gave him a real nice coat. And he wore that coat and he was walking down. Well, he came across an individual, whether he was Catholic or Jewish or Muslim, it did not matter. And he noticed that that person was really cold. And he took that coat off that gave him warmth and he gave it to the other individual. And the point being is, it doesn't matter what you believe, it matters, do you follow what you believe? You have to be spiritual. All of us, whether we're atheist or Gnostic or whatever particular religion, we have a belief system. And it's very easy, Magenta, for me to say, you have to be at peace and you have to be appreciative and balanced. If you don't live that, these are just words. And and as we look at the metaphysical mentors like you and Dolores Cannon and Ellie Crystal, uh, I would like to feel that we as individuals that watch you also truly feel you are doing what you believe, and that sets uh, you apart from other individuals that are just there for other reasons.
Well, it's lovely to be called a metaphysical mentor and compared with, people like Dolores Cannon and David Wilcock and people you've mentioned. But I don't really see myself like that. I see us all as potential metaphysical mentors and teachers and students, every single one of us, and we all have the means to do it. We've all got access to YouTube, we've got access to websites, we've got access to being on Blog Talk Radio. We can all get our stuff out there. We can all write books. We can all do it if we want to. I know what you're saying about practicing what you preach, and I do feel that when I first started to do my videos, I wasn't. I was bringing forward information from the nine and I wasn't practicing it myself. And, the nine don't necessarily come in and say to me, you're not doing the things that you're teaching others to do. They don't tell you, they just kind of give clues and hints and pushes and you work it out for yourself. I mean, specifically nutrition, I'd be teaching people about eating, healthy foods that are very much like their origin, that haven't been changed, processed, had things added to, earth foods, natural foods, not cooked too much, raw foods and vegetables and that sort of thing. And I'd be sat there with a packet of crisps and a bar of chocolate next to me, ready to eat when I'd finished doing my video or doing my reading. And it took me a while to catch up. And then I realized something changes when you start to live your information. You move into alignment with it and it becomes part of you and it's magical. I could all have that communication. I've had that communication for 18 years. But it was only when I started to truly live everything I was taught that I came into alignment. Yeah. And that's only been, the last year or two, I have to be honest. So I'm not going to take credit for being a metaphysical mentor who practices what she preaches for the whole time. It's been 2 years and it's an ongoing journey. It's an ongoing journey. And, now I do. I can't think of anything I'm being told that I'm teaching others that I'm not doing myself at this point. I have to be honest, I am doing it, but I didn't at first. And I think it takes time. I think it takes time to do it because it is about having that trust in yourself, as you were saying, and even if you're teaching others to trust the information you're getting and actually following it. I would have clients come to me that were following the Nine's teachings, and they were doing all these amazing things, and I was thinking, well, here I am bringing forward the teachings, but I'm not having these experiences because I'm not actually following the teachings. I'm just delivering them because I was thinking I'm a channel, I'm a medium, I am somebody who just delivers the messages. And then I woke up and thought, hang on a minute, I'm supposed to be actually following these messages. So it's an awakening and I do it now.
Yeah, and it is a challenge. All of us are here for a purpose, and all of us are. We're here to learn and to experience, to develop our talents, and it's very easy for all of us to look around at other people and say, boy, I wish we could do that, and wish we could do this, and we wish we could do whatever. Uh, but if the more attention we put on, are we doing every day what we find to be valuable? That's tough.
And one great thing as well from the higher perspective of us, the nine, they don't judge. There's no judgment. And when you finally do come to your realization that you maybe haven't been practicing what you preach, you haven't been living fully in alignment, there's no judgment. There's just a welcoming in that you've made the realization, and there's a real appreciation and such love from that higher place, but there is never judgment ever. But with that comes this honoring of one's free will, therefore clues and messages, but never ever upfront, hey, Magenta, you just had a packet of crisps and you just told your client not to eat crisps. You told your client to, eat fruit or whatever, and you did it. There's never anything like that. You work it out for yourself. But one thing I'd like to draw you to is the date of the 21st of December this year, 2012. Culmination point of the ascension process is what the nines say. I know you have also had much thought processes and meditational inquiry about the 21st of December date. So, what have you picked up? What are your thoughts as to what this date really means?
Excellent question. Being a multi-dimensional individual, what that basically means is we play different roles. Um, uh, for instance, as a husband, I play a certain role that you would never see, and with my children, my spouse would rarely see the particular roles, and so I look at multi dimensions as roles, and I feel that as we continue towards that ascension, whether it's going to be on the 21st, whether it's going to be next week, or whether it's going to be in 2014, boy, I don't know. I do know that the pace is quickening. And I feel that if I had a choice uh, after or right at or right before, what would I do with myself? Because we have lived in a very dense dimension. And as it's becoming less dense and as time is getting closer and closer, I think we also have um, ways in which we can sort of choose. We're the masters of our own ship. Um, and so, one aspect that at times I think about would be to just return to the source. So, let's just suppose something major happened that all of us sort of come together. I'm not into doomsday. I guess what I'm saying is one aspect says I'm going to go back to the source. Another aspect says that I'm going to re-enter the time loop and relive my aspect, my third dimensional person, or maybe another dimensional purpose to continue to help others grow. At times, I believe that for one reason or another, the first time we went through this time period, we did not do well. And that when it hit 12, 21, 12, there weren't as much knowledge and experience and willingness to understand, and maybe some of the prophecies of Nostradamus came to pass. And so, consequently, for one reason or another, we re entered that time period as a group back in the 20s and 30s. And maybe the second iteration, maybe we got a little bit better. Maybe we didn't destroy as many people, and maybe we didn't hurt as many. And so, uh, but again, we destroyed the world, or not destroyed the world. We did something that was fantastic that was not good. And so we went into the third iteration. And For those that were involved, we started getting in way showers, as Dolores Cannon's talking about. We were able to acquire individuals that weren't involved in the karmatic wheel.
So that's when the other planetary systems sent in their family members.
Yes,
Yeah. So how many iterations did we have, do you feel?
I think we're at three, and that perhaps we'll go into a fourth if need be. Um, I also feel that we have multiple dimensional sides. Maybe 30 years ago, or 40 years ago, I made the decision to get involved in business. Maybe another part of me said, "No, I don't want to get involved in business." Um, so, I'm open to: Are there other Josephs? Are there or Josephines? Just because we're male or female on this particular iteration does not necessarily mean we have to be uh, a male or a female also.
So do you feel that meeting those other aspects of self is something that we can do after the 21st of December 2012, or possibly even now?
Oh, I think many people are starting to recognize that. If we went to a food store and we had an empty parking lot and we drew a circle around the perimeter of that parking lot, and then we took a pencil and we went somewhere inside that circle and we drew an X, the oversoul is a gigantic circle, and that X is just our tiny little life. And as we look over that oversoul, we look over that circle, that's how much experiences and things that uh, we we as individuals have done. And it would be neat to be able to go and talk with your oversoul and be able to go inside that circle and not necessarily see Joseph's life, but maybe Mary's life that was a long time ago.
These iterations that you're talking about, from the perspective of it happening in the past and us going into a time loop and reliving the aspect, is that would you say a parallel to the perspective that they are timelines in front of us yet to be experienced? So they're all happening simultaneously, would you
Yes.
say? But we perceive it as the past. Would you say this also relates to there's information about there was another planet. Some people called it Malduk, or there are other names.
Nibiru.
And yeah, and that's right. And that planet was destroyed, and then another planet was formed that was just like Earth, and then that one was destroyed, and now we're in the third planet. Is that also a metaphor of the same thing, these time loops you're talking about?
It's highly possible. I think that once we get to the other side and we are open, that we not only will just see our life, but we'll see iterations of our life. Seth, uh, the Seth material, Jane Roberts talks a great deal. I'm still reading parts of his and trying to figure out what the heck he's saying because he gives a really good perspective on dimensional thoughts. And so, yes, Magenta, I would say that uh, some of the things that have happened to Earth may have happened, but not necessarily in this timeline.
Yes. Oh, yeah, totally. And that they are available, all happening simultaneously. And from our perspective, we're in one, but from the perspective of it re-entering a time loop and reliving the aspect, but then coming out with a different outcome. Going back to Star Trek, there was an episode the other day, and Spock said, if you go into the past, the future cannot be changed. And of course, through the episode, they then discovered, I think it's a very iconic episode actually, it's where they go to the Wild West. They relive a time loop of the fight at the OK Corral. And of course, the outcome is different. And then they realize oh, the future can be changed. So they'd switched into the other timeline. Talking more of science fiction programs here, everything you're explaining is also in the Matrix. I can't remember which Matrix film, but it's where he goes and meets the masculine version of the oracle, you know, the architect, and then you're seeing all these different neos, and the first neo was getting really angry and he didn't kind of make it because he had to choose between saving Trinity or saving the Matrix, you know, the real reality, saving Zion. And then there was a second one, and there's all these you could see all these neos as if they were in the past. Is that's what you're talking about here? Because I totally agree. I've had the same information from the Nine about this, and we can look back and see it as the past. It's all very much what I'm told is about creation. And you also have spoken to me before about one of the things you've said is you create a new world that's not in existence. So it's not anywhere right now. It's not in any timeline. This is why this whole experience is so unique, because up until this point, this 2012 point, it's all been a probability somewhere. In some reality, it's happened. But we're creating something new. This is like the whole loop has come round to the point where there's like this blank page, or if you want to look at it more in physics, it's correct, isn't it? Before something happens, there's a period of nothing happening, a period of zero point, and that's what we're in. And in that time, in that moment of zero, is when we can create something new. Is that correct?
I feel that that is very much possible. The time loops that we continue to go, once you go past 12, 21, 12, or whatever that 0 point is, we no longer are able to re-enter some of those time loops. And the question always comes down: do I want to go back and redo Joseph again? And there are going to be those individuals, those entities that are going to say, "Nah, we've done our thing," and that's okay. Um, but once we get past that and we start living that new creation, that what you're talking about, then we establish really a realm that did not exist before.
Yes. And that's really where we're headed, I feel, with the guidance of light beings like the Nine, which every one of us has access to being with, because they are essentially us. When we follow their guidance and sort of practice what we preach and live the information we're being taught, we are creating this new world, and we can choose exactly how we want it to be.
Yes, yes,
And would you say that the reason why people are experiencing these byproducts, these enhanced psychic abilities, if you like, is because we're in this zero flow, and people who are sensitive to that are able to, um, they're creating a situation in their bodies where they can do this bilocation, invisibility, uh, deep meditation into astral projection, all part of that, because this is the beginning period of us evolving into something that we as yet don't know what we will be. It's we're actually evolving um, we're actually creating a new world, but we're evolving into a new human, if you like, a new being.
yes. I very much. It's pretty much like the physical body, and again, the astral body is that spiritual in go between, and your our physical body is like some clothing on top of our astral body, and I see that physical body sort of melting away.
So, so your map that you've created into this that would help people to trigger this and awaken and have these experiences and help this creation of this new reality that hasn't yet be in existence. You have got one map that is more geometric. It talks about the science, talks about the Merkabah. You've got this information provided about multidimensional aspects and the different relationships that you can foster with self on the different dimensions. You have that on your videos, but also your map is simple, and it is exactly what you said about living in peace, learning to appreciate living in balance, and those things.
Yes, and
Yeah.
I will endeavor to uh, what can I say? Third dimension work sometimes comes first.
Okay. So do you have any more information at all? If anyone were to say to you, look, Joseph, your information's really interesting, and I was interested in the conversation you had with Magenta. I really want to experience all these things. I want to be part of this. I want to meet the other aspects of myself. I want to make the choice to go into re-enter the time loop, to get into that 0 point, to manifest, to create something that hasn't yet been created, to experience all these byproducts such as invisibility by location. I want to manifest abundance, and I want to create my reality and be part of it. And if they then said to you, but it isn't happening, it's not happening to me, what's your sort of last advice really before we end our interview? I mean, what would you say to them to do? I know you've given a map with living peacefully, living in the moment, but is there anything else that you could give as a piece of advice?
uh, Excellent question. You know, each person tends to be at a specific level, and I always come back to if they are frustrated, I probably basically would ask them, why do you want what you want? What How will that make you happy? And there are so many educational tools that are now coming out, and let's face it, most all of us are lazy at times, and there is so much information out there um, that it is part of our responsibility to also accomplish and do. And so my advice would be, if you have a specific question, um, just by going on Google or typing out questions, there is a plethora of information that is available. Um, I'll be glad to communicate with anyone on an email basis. Um, the work that I do is important also. The third dimensional work. I'll do my best to help anyone that I can. I don't have any magical words. I have yet to find magical dust in my pockets where I can sprinkle on and make things any better. Uh, I, I don't have. I'm not a saint. I don't have everything under control. I'm like everyone else. I'm just a metaphysical cog in the metaphysical world, trying to figure out and do the best that we can.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel the same. Just like everyone else, same here. And we are all part of that metaphysical cog, if you like, and we're all humble individuals, but we're all amazing creatures and have the potential to be that. So, yeah, great advice. I feel also I would say the same thing. Why do you want what you want? And also, frustration is a block into it. It is about sort of surrender and letting go. Just switching over to one more question that's a little bit different. Obviously, within these potential time loops, these potential timelines, there is a negative aspect, and obviously we've gone through some of these, we've experienced them, and maybe we have destroyed this planet in previous time loops, and we're now reliving this aspect. And it certainly doesn't look, from what I'm seeing from the Nine's viewpoint, it certainly doesn't look like we're headed there at all this time. But what I am shown is a bit of a bleed through from other timelines in certain areas, although I think we're doing pretty well not to bring too much in. There's been a lot of things, as you say, Nostradamus's predictions may well have been brought to fruition in other time loops and not in this one. But what is going on is a coming to justice of those that have deliberately tried to hold down the planetary growth and the growth of humanity. Those that have deliberately kept humanity from realizing how amazing they are, which ultimately is the biggest secret here, that humanity is just unbelievably amazing and powerful. And unless they believe it and know it, they can't access it. So that's been deliberately kept from us through the food chain, through the media, through every means. All of that's changing, and it's going pretty well. But there does seem to be a bit of a bleed through of negative aspects. Things are going on uh, with the elite groups, if you like. Have you had any information about this, specific to do with, some pretty troubling things we might be seeing on our TV screens coming up pretty soon, that do eventually lead to this whole liberation, if you like, and freedom?
Well, as Dolores Cannon had said, there's going to be a splitting of two worlds. I don't see two worlds. I see a number of different worlds. And the reason I see a number of different worlds is that we're going to gravitate towards certain kinds of vibration, certain kinds of things. I try not to spend any time with doomsday kinds of things. I try not to look at news too much. Um, Newscasters, whether they're controlled by elite group or they are trying to promote their commercials or whatever, everything is sort of tainted a little bit, and there's always reasons for that. I do recognize that in our global market, 1 out of every 4 individuals goes to bed hungry. 1 out of 4 individuals has seen a death of a child. 1 out of 4 individuals don't have really good water. Um, 10 to 20 countries have dictators. Um, Magenta, I live like a king. I don't have all sorts of money. I don't drive a different car every day. I don't have the greatest and latest in a lot of things. But when I compare myself with a fourth of the people in this world, and they were to glimpse at me and take a look at, you know, why I live like a king. And so that's why I feel that there's going to be multiple different vibrations. Those individuals that live in squalor and those individuals that live in war zones, um, is it because they had a bad reincarnated life previous? Are they being punished or things of that nature? That's a question I want to ask on the other side. I want to ask why I have earned the right to live like a king, and other individuals have to go through the pain and misery, who aren't listening to the internet, who don't have YouTube, who are trying to find a bowl of soup to last them a couple days. And so um, uh, I truly believe that there are certain individuals that enhance my metaphysical understanding, and there are certain individuals that won't. And and but they have a right to their fifth dimension living. They have a right to ascend. Do I wish to participate with them and be open and accept those there are individuals I would like to be that helps to promote my abilities and enhance my abilities. I don't wish uh, to establish any more karma that I need to. So I think we're going to see multiple aspects being created.
Yeah. I agree, and that's such an important point that you bring up. And I think what you're talking about, why do people experience living in war zones, living in squalor? What's the reason? That's a huge question, a huge multidimensional question, one of the hardest questions to answer because, or one of the hardest questions to ask, even because our ego comes in, the ego self comes in with pain because we do, when we're in a state of love, we don't want that to be experienced. And it isn't happening just miles and miles away. It's actually happening in our own countries and in the Western world as well. There are so many aspects to why that we don't even understand on this level. One of them is to do with the teaching of compassion. It's only one, and many of us have found compassion. There are those that haven't. And until they have found compassion, they can't escape from this reincarnational cycle, if you like. So, of course, we're coming in, yeah, coming into this 2012 sort of zero point where we're creating this new world. Some of us won't. Some will re-enter the time loop and go back. That's the metaphor of going on to another planet, I suppose, and not staying with the Earth, if you want to use that metaphor. So one of the things that is there is all these different ways for us to notice compassion, and it can be right in front of us, or it can be on the TV or wherever. So if compassion can be brought into your heart, then you've got a major key into getting into the zero point with the rest of us that want to go forward. Would you agree with that?
I very very much so. Each one of us sort of are here on this particular dimension to learn something, and there are groups of us that are learning various different things, and there are other individuals who have chosen lifestyles that you or I would find not conducive to good metaphysical. They are learning things, and when you talk with 100 people, and if you were, and they came from all over the global world, and you were to ask them what their purpose was, you would have 100 different answers, and so consequently, this planet is just not one singular uh, learning tool for all of us. It is groups of learning.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for agreeing to be interviewed today. I wanted to ask, you said you'd be happy to communicate with people by email. I know you want to stay anonymous at this moment, globally, with your presentation on this video, which is completely respected. But you do have an email address, do you, where people can contact you and actually go through some communication and potentially some teaching and interaction with you?
And I'll be glad to, I don't have all the answers, and
Well, none of us do we? None of us have all the answers, but you certainly have a piece of that metaphysical cog, if you like. You have the ability to help others. So I mean, I will put your email address in the finished edit, and I would expect some emails to come in. So thank you. I mean, I'd love you to come and talk to me again at some point in the future, and we can sort of see how things are going. And would you say ultimately, from where you're looking and with the information that you're getting through these emotional pictures that you get, would you say it's looking pretty positive ultimately?
uh, for yes, I guess I had about 3 ways to answer that.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, for those who are open, and for those who are resonating with what we're saying, for those who are there and understand what we're talking about and feel it, is it positive for them?
I truly believe so. I feel that middle of August, September, I think we're going to have interesting confirmations. Uh, the The main thing is, living at peace, appreciating, being in balance, doing service, accomplishing, and living your spiritual life as you preach it.
Yeah, and it's available for anyone.
Yes,
If people are listening to this and thinking, well, I don't know what these people are talking about, and does that mean it's negative for me? No, you don't have to understand what we're talking about. All you have to do is open your heart and trust, live in
yes,
peace, be good, start to meditate.
yes,
Just say, I want to join these people. Whatever wherever the
yeah,
positive outcome is, I want to be in that, and you
yeah,
will be guided into it, and you
yes.
will. It's not easy. You have to do some work, but you will be. That door will open. Basically, it's there for everybody. Everybody.
I agree.
And there's been times I've said that before, and I've had people write to me and get cross because they're saying it's not there for everybody. It hasn't happened to me, but believe me, it is there for everyone. And I know it's tough sometimes for people to find that. We've all been through the same journey in these different ways, in these different time loops. But literally, just make it known that you want to
Yes,
be part of the positive outcome. You want to be part of the creation, and just get on board, and you will be welcomed,
yes.
not just by us on earth, but by the dimensional entities as well that are overseeing this whole process. So thank you.
Oh, thank you, Magenta, for all of your work that you do. If I could touch 10 people's lives, I would feel myself great. You have touched many. And so I thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So, and it is lovely to know that my work has touched people, and it's beautiful and humbling, and I love all of them, and that's what we're all here for. We're all here to touch the lives of others. Every single one of us, we can all do it. And right now, I'm seeing people on a daily basis that are doing this. Most people I see with my work are doing this, and they are touching others, and it's just beautiful, and it's going to continue exponentially throughout
Yes,
this year.
I
So
agree.
and beyond. So thank you so much,
Thank you.
Joseph. Joseph Anonymous. Thank you so much for agreeing to be interviewed. It's been a really interesting and lovely conversation. I hope that the listeners have enjoyed what we've had to say.
I appreciate that. I'm humbled you asked. So thank you.
Thank you.